All right, folks. Here's one for people that have missed the fear porn, as some of my detractors like to put it. Poor America. 40% of Americans can't afford middle class lifestyle. This is from Zero Hedge. Even though the stock market trades at near record highs, joblessness suppressed at decade lows, and corporate buyback profits booming via Trump's tax reform, poverty is exploding all over America. One of the primary objectives of the Federal Reserve's monetary policy of this past decade was to generate the wealth effect by artificially driving valuations of stocks and bonds to nosebleed valuations. American households would feel more prosperous, therefore be more inclined to borrow and spend, even if some households did not own financial instruments. In other words, a central bank free money, anything goes induced economic recovery was supposed to trigger a fast-paced economic growth as households would reignite the service-based economy. While this perception management only worked for the wealthiest households who owned financial instruments, the reckless monetary policy of the Federal Reserve created a massive problem of wealth inequality among Americans. According to a new study obtained exclusively by Axios, more than 40% of households cannot afford the basics of a middle-class lifestyle, including rent, transportation, childcare, and a cell phone. The study conducted by the United Way, ALICE, Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed Project, a nationwide effort to quantify and describe the number of households that are struggling financially, discovered a wide band of working U.S. households that live above the official poverty line but below the cost of paying ordinary expenses, said Axios. Stephanie Hoops, PhD director, United Way Alice Project, told Axios, based on 2016 data, there were 34.7 million households in that group, double the 16.1 million that are actually in poverty. Axios reminds us that for 2 years, U.S. politics has been overwhelmed by the anger and resentment of a self-identified, abandoned class of people dubbed the deplorables, a group of millions of Americans who have been left behind economically and forced into poverty. According to Hoops, the United Way research report will be fully released on Thursday, which suggests that the deplorables are a much larger group than many have anticipated, and growing despite the stock market trading at near record highs. Axios provides a summary of the report that will be released on Thursday. The United Way study, to be released publicly Thursday, suggests that the economically forgotten are a far bigger group than many studies assume, and, according to Hoops, appear to be growing larger despite the improving economy. The study dubs that middle group between poverty and middle class, Alice families for asset limited income constrained employed. The map below by Chris Kennett depicts the state-by-state population in dark brown. These households with adults who are working but earn too little. 66% of Americans earn less than $20 an hour, or about $40,000 a year if they're working full-time. A few months ago, Goldman said that the U.S. fiscal trajectory was dire, warning that U.S. fiscal policy is unusually bad. Axios said when you add them to Americans living in poverty, it comes out to a stunning 51 million households. That's a magnitude of financial hardship that we haven't been able to capture until now, Hoops said. Using 2016 data collected from the states, the study found that North Dakota has the smallest population of combined poor and Alice families at 32% of its households. The largest is in California, Hawaii, and New Mexico. 49% is shocking. 30% is also shocking, Hoops said. Last month, President Trump wrote an op-ed in USA Today titled, "America's economy is back and roaring and its people are winning. For the sake of America's survivability, let's hope that Axios is wrong about their assessment of the middle class and Trump is right. Otherwise, this is just more evidence that suggests the implosion of America's middle class." And that is from Zero Hedge. And this was on May 20th. In some states, they need to redefine poverty, because I know a lot of people in California, a lot of folks in California, especially in Los Angeles, where I live, there's a lot of working poor. They get up, that live in trailers or live in campers and get up every day, go shower or bathe or whatever they do, and go to work for 8 to 10 hours and come home back to their camper. And they have their campers parked on the street. I know a lot of people in various cities, little towns and cities in LA County that are working poor. You can tell that they're working poor. They have decent clothes, got decent shoes. They just don't have any place to stay because they can't afford to rent. And half the folks, 49% of these people that can barely afford to live or stay and be, earn the basics or what they call a middle class lifestyle. Where you're talking about 49% in some states, and at the lowest is 32% or a third, which is absolutely absurd. And this is in very poor states like North Dakota, where you know that the cost of living is very low. And they're not talking about black folks here, folks. They're talking about white people. This is the coming apart of America that was talked about. A good God, it was good 15 years ago. And now it's really showing up as an impact. So I know when Tone talks, he talks about wealth and the data between white and black. But you got to remember, there's a hell of a lot more white people than there are black people. And whereas black people being poor is an issue, white people being poor is a problem. And it's a problem that white America does not want to talk about, because the number is too big and it's too big of an issue to solve. So they pretend like it's not happening. But you can tell that's why you have all these school shootings and all these folks on dope and all these people committing suicide or virtual suicide through drug overdose. This is what it's masking. They're trying to mask the white poverty. They don't show it. They always show black poverty, but the white poverty is always hidden. It never goes in the books. It never goes in the stats. But this is America going forward, and it's just starting to, this is just starting to get bad. Automation hasn't fully hit yet. The economic downturn is just starting to creep. And like I'm saying, these are white folks. These aren't black folks. These are white folks that are going through this. So, telling all my guys, all my people, and tighten your belt and buckle up your chin straps. Because they say that prosperity is around the corner and Trump's going to change things. Oh, he's going to change things. He's going to start putting nails in the coffins. They've already decided that they're going to let the poor people go to maintain the status of the United States globally. So they're willing to sacrifice you. It wouldn't be the first time that they've done it, but they're willing to let you go because you're the least important. And for folks think that it's not going to get worse or this stuff is not going to happen, I got one thing to say. Oh, it's happening, sweetheart. It's happening, and a lot quicker than people think. It's happening right under your very nose. For those who haven't seen it, I know a lot of my over-the-road truckers see it all the time. This is common to them. They see it in hidden places that we don't go because we're all in the cities, but they see it all over the country. So that's all the fear porn I got for you guys for right now. I'll see if I can dig up some more since you guys have missed it. And I'm going to jump off of here. This is BGS out, and I will see you guys on the next one.